This podcast is for entertainment and informational purposes only. The views expressed by the hosts are their own and should not be construed as definitive or factual.
Listeners are encouraged to conduct their own research and form their own conclusions. Discretion is advised as some topics may be sensitive or controversial. This is Babe, Let's Join a Cult. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Babe, Let's Join a Cult. I'm your host, Nakai, and we're joined here today with the babe,
Babe,
Blake.
hello. I don't know why I say hi to you. You obviously know who I am.
No, you're saying
Hi.
hi to the
Hello,
peeps.
listeners and people who are viewing this.
Yeah, if you're new here, this is Babe. He
I'm
listens
Babe,
to my cult stories.
and I adjust the audio on the fly.
Yeah. Anyways, we are back today with episode 10. We've made it to
Episode
double
10.
digits.
Damn.
I know. It's
What
crazy.
else? How often do you get to turn 10 with very many things, you know?
It's been, yeah.
I'm not one of those decade career guys, so it's never happened to me
No,
there.
you're already, I don't know. The podcast is
Well,
already in the past for you.
no,
Yes.
I
He's
just do
too
a
busy
lot of
doing pottery.
pottery.
He doesn't want a podcast with me anymore.
That's so
Soon
not
it's just going to
true.
be, let's join a cult.
The pottery cult,
No, babe.
the studio,
Just
pottery
us.
cult studio.
Just
That's the
you
plan.
and me joining cults.
I want to do like a little studio collective downtown at some point with
Podcast studio / pottery studio
tea
/ art
house
studio
slash
/ tea.
tattoo shop. What other things do you want to mix
I
in
want a
there?
plant shop.
Ooh,
I want a coffee
plants.
shop.
All right, hear me out.
I want to work on
Pottery.
motorcycles.
Yeah, pottery, art, tea, and plants.
And podcast.
You could do the podcast there too.
Yeah.
And that way it's like more of a space where everyone just like comes in and, you record a podcast episode. That could be fun.
It'd be fun to have a little podcast
Yeah.
area.
Hey, if you're listening at home and you're in the Sandpoint area and you have a location for us to do all of the things we just mentioned, let us know. In the
Let us
meantime,
know.
the podcast will be in our living room. The pottery studio will be in the garage. The art
Yep.
studio is at your dad's, and we drink tea everywhere.
Everywhere.
So that's
We're
where we're
doing
at
our
in life.
best.
Here we are.
We're tired, but we're trying.
We are doing our best.
But yeah,
All right.
that's the update.
So this week, you wrote an episode.
I did because Babe was asked to write an episode. This is 2 weeks in a row now.
Asked is a little bit loose.
I said, Babe, write an episode.
Yeah, that's not asking.
And you said, okay, babe, I'm going to write an episode this week.
No. If y'all remember from last week, I was like, maybe. And then at the end, I was like, she's going to do it.
I know, because he's over the cult.
I'm not over the cult.
You're excommunicado from the cult.
Excommunicado. What's that from?
John Wick.
Oh, yeah.
We should watch the 4th one tonight. Is that the one we haven't watched? You haven't watched? I've seen them all multiple times. They're great.
They are great. They're a lot. They're action-packed the entire time.
We binge watched the first 3 all in one night.
No,
Yes.
2.5.
I think it was all 3.
It kind of just like hurt my brain after a while. I was like, okay, this is so much.
I just
fighting.
had good dreams
Some
about
point,
Keanu Reeves.
It's like, why are you fighting?
Because he is John Wick and they killed his dog and they wouldn't leave him alone.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, I know. You're too cool for it now, but in the moment you liked it.
I do still really like it. There's flashback to being like violence, tons of it constantly. Like there's no break, and I appreciate it. It's kind of like what's the movie? I think it's called Nobody, where it's like I thought that was really good because he gets his ass beat throughout the movie. Like it's very genuine comparatively to like the good guy always winning. Kind of like John Wick. John Wick gets his ass beat a lot, and it's like, damn. So yeah, I appreciate it. It's a good movie. If you haven't seen it, give it a whirl.
Give it a watch.
Don't watch all 3 in one night. Otherwise, your brain's going to hurt.
Watch all 4 in one night. Fuck it. Anyway, should we hop into this week's episode?
Yeah, you're a little defiant.
I'm tired.
Divisive.
I'm tired and I'm cranky.
Disagreeable.
I am, and I'm hungry.
I feel like it sounds weird to me, but it'll be fine later, I'm sure.
The audio? If the audio is wonky this episode, we're sorry.
It's my fault.
It's Blake's fault.
I think it'll be fine. Anyways, please continue. Take it away.
Trying.
My podcast episode writer.
Today we have episode 10 titled Cosmic Lies and Ritual Crimes.
Ooh, I like that title.
I know. Inside the superior universal alignment.
Kind of turns me on.
No, it won't here shortly.
Fuck.
Anyways, speaking of,
It's not that kind of cult.
have you heard of the superior universal alignment cult?
No.
Perfect. Me
The
neither.
superior universal alignment cult.
It's a mouthful. I
Sounds like
fucking
love has won. Sounds like those fucking people again.
ooh. It's not as like nuts. Well, it's still crazy, but like different kind of crazy. But it is another chick cult leader.
Nice.
Because girls can do anything they want. As Gabe said in episode 1. Shoot for the stars, ladies.
Yeah, inside, I want to scream out, of course they can. No one says they can't. But then I'm like, maybe there's a lot of people that say they can't.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't speak for a general public, but I
No,
speak for me, which you can do anything you set your mind to. And I've
thanks.
seen it in action, and I'm very proud of you.
Aw, thanks. I
You're
sure
welcome.
know it. I
And I love
will.
being able to support it.
I'll think about how sweet that was when I'm not hungry and grumpy and tired.
Yeah,
It'll hit harder, but I still think it's very sweet.
that's great. I only
Uh,
said it because people are listening
I
and
know.
watching.
Imagine a dark secret so twisted it turns the idea of motherhood into a nightmare. A cult that grew in the shadows of Brazil, claiming a prophet who convinced her followers that boys born after 1981 were cursed, destined to be evil, and marked for destruction. What began as a fringe spiritual belief spiraled into something far more sinister, a string of crimes, disappearances, and horrors that would haunt families forever. How does a belief so bizarre take hold on people's lives? Who was the mastermind behind it all, and how did this cult leave such a chilling legacy in its wake? Today, we are unraveling the disturbing story of the superior universal alignment, a tale of manipulation and the devastating power of belief. Stay tuned as we peel back the layers of the unsettling chapter in cult history that lives. I would restart, sorry.
It lives where?
I,
Where are we living?
I just lost all train of start. Oh no, all train of thought
The
gone.
dyslexia has permeated her thoughts.
It was like I had
You were on it.
it was going so well, and even in my head, I was like, "This is going really well, no stuttering so far." And then I hit a wall and just nothing, and I was like, "Ah,
All right. Where are we at?
it's fine. We can keep it in."
It'll be fun.
A tale of manipulation and the devastating power of belief. Stay tuned as we peel back the layers of this unsettling chapter in cult history and the lives it destroyed along the way. There
Boom.
we go.
Nice.
Redemption.
That was good. That was a good one.
Slowly but surely, we'll get better at this.
I think you're doing good, actually.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'll probably butcher her last name.
What is it? Let's just get through it now.
Valentina de Andrade?
Call her Valentina.
Yeah, I was planning on
Okay,
it, but I
perfect.
just wanted to give the full name.
Yeah. Valentina de Andrade.
Sure.
Something like that along those
You
lines.
can look it up.
If you care, look it up. If not, we're calling her Valentina.
Anyways, Valentina was born in 1937 in Argentina, but little is known about her early life. By the time she reached adulthood, Valentina had cultivated a persona of mysticism, positioning herself as a self-proclaimed spiritual guide. Her beliefs were rooted in esoteric teachings and conspiracy theories, combining elements of extraterrestrial narratives and apocalyptic predictions and pseudoscience. In 1980, Valentina claimed to receive divine revelations through channeling and began promoting her philosophy, which she compiled in her book titled God, the Big Farce. In this work, she rejected traditional Christianity, dismissed the existence of Jesus, and introduced her belief that humanity was being manipulated by negative forces. These forces, she said, would soon be cleansed by extraterrestrial beings who would usher in a new era of enlightenment.
The beginning of that, I'm like, okay, I can see where you're coming from there a little bit. You're not into the whole,
Jesus thing, not your thing.
yeah,
That's okay.
you're not into that. You're not into the indoctrinated religious path. Totally fair. But aliens?
Aliens,
But
baby.
that aliens are going to come and cleanse the earth. Like, that's the layer.
Mhm.
You want to believe in aliens as well? Fair game. But, like,
Do you not
why?
believe in aliens?
No, I do.
Okay,
I
cool.
think, I mean, I believe recently they've released documentation of, like, hey, they're real. We've just been hiding them, pretending that they're not real.
Mm. I feel like we all do it though, deep
I
down.
mean, I believe in plenty of things, but at the same time, none of it impacts my day to day. So I just don't give it that much of my energy and time, you know?
Mhm.
It's like conspiracy theories. Like, they're all probably true to some degree. There's some outliers that are like totally fucking nuts. But I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. But what am I going to do about it?
Good point. Good point.
Kind of like aliens coming to save the earth. Like, all right.
Yeah.
So what did she use that excuse to do? What
Ooh,
did
we are
she
gonna find
do?
out.
This bitch.
Ha amu.
I stinker.
Azula. Join the
Oh,
cult.
not my pretty girl.
As her teachings gained traction, Valentina began gathering followers in northern Argentina and Brazil, particularly those seeking spiritual meaning outside mainstream religion. Her charisma and authoritative nature drew people who were desperate for answers or captivated by her apocalyptic visions. Over time, this group evolved into the Superior Universal Alignment, a cult structured around her prophecies and absolute authority. They need to abbreviate that cult title, it's a mouthful.
You should abbreviate it now. Call it something else.
I should too, but it's too late now. We're already in it.
Call it the alignment fools.
All right. In the early days of the alignment, it appeared more like a spiritual movement than a dangerous cult. In the late 1980s, Valentina gathered a small group of followers who were drawn to her charismatic personality and her promise of enlightenment beyond traditional religion. Her teachings revolved around rejecting mainstream Christianity, denouncing Jesus as a fabrication, and embracing the guidance of extraterrestrial beings she claimed were watching over humanity. Valentina's ideology offered a sense of purpose and direction to those who felt alienated by conventional spiritual paths. The group began as a community of seekers eager to understand the universe's secrets and humanity's place within it. They held meetings and retreats where Valentina shared her revelations, mixing elements of New Age spirituality with apocalyptic warnings of impending cosmic reckoning. During this time, the group focused on preparing for what Valentina described as the Great Purification, a transformative event where only the chosen few would ascend to a higher plane of existence. Followers were encouraged to cleanse themselves spiritually and emotionally. Followers were encouraged to cleanse themselves spiritually and emotionally, renounce materialism, and disconnect from societal norms to achieve enlightenment. Many describe the early days of the movement as hopeful, uplifting, and offering a sense of belonging and clarity in an uncertain world. For a time, the cult operated under the guidance of peaceful, spiritual community with members deeply committed to Valentina's vision of transcendence. They shared on a belief that they were part of an elite group destined to survive the coming changes and create a new era of harmony and enlightenment. Mood, just doing your thing.
She's going to town.
I guess so.
Yeah.
You're being
She
filmed,
she knows there's
baby
a
girl.
camera. That's why she's doing it.
Yeah, she's acting all sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Moo's an ex cult leader in another life, huh,
Yeah,
Moo?
right. We're probably talking about her right now.
I know, and she's like, I
This
gotta
could
hear
be her.
about this
Look at that.
shit.
She's like, no, I got something to say.
Yeah. I wasn't there. It's not my
Mm-hmm.
fault.
They put me in this fucking cat body. Those damn aliens.
Yeah. I do believe cats just have little aliens in them.
Yeah, maybe. You gonna come rescue the world, kid? All
Nah,
right.
she's the impending doom.
Mm-hmm.
However, beneath the surface, Valentina's teachings began to grow more extreme. Her warnings of humanity's corruption escalated and her paranoia deepened. What started as a quest for spiritual awakening gradually evolved into an obsession with purity and exclusion, laying the foundations for the group's pending descent into fear, obsession, and violence. As the alignment grew, the group's teachings began to take a sinister turn, driven by Valentina's increasingly apocalyptic and exclusionary beliefs. By the late 1980s, Valentina claimed to have received a new revelation. Boys born after 1981 were inherently evil. She preached that these children were cursed and incapable of salvation, identifying them as obstacles to the group's spiritual enlightenment. This belief became the core of the cult's descent into darkness, leading to devastating consequences. What year were you born, babe?
95.
You're inherently evil.
It can't be saved.
I must get rid of you.
Oh yeah, because when you were born.
I'm a girl. This says just
Oh, she said
boys.
boys. That's sexist.
I don't count. Oh, how the tables have
Damn, my
turned.
brain was like just like seconds away from a really good comeback, and then you continue. It was like not there.
Mhm.
Damn.
Under Valentina's influence, the group embraced paranoia and fear, viewing these children as threats to their spiritual mission. Parents within the cult were pressured to sever ties with their sons, abandoning or even abusing them in the name of purification. This dogma created an atmosphere of cruelty and blind obedience, fracturing families and instilling a culture of control that left no room for dissent.
Crazy.
Okay, Moo. The cult's most the cult's most horrifying chapter unfolded in the Brazilian city of Altamira during the late 1980s and early 1990s. Local authorities began investigating the disappearance of young boys, all whom fit the profile of Valentina's cursed children. Witnesses and survivors later described ritualistic ceremonies involving physical abuse, torture, and even murder. Several children were found mutilated or killed in what appeared to be sacrificial rituals, leaving the community gripped by fear.
Damn.
Yeah, I know.
That's pretty wild.
We got sacrifices in this cult.
That's awesome.
I think this is our first cult with sacrifices,
Yeah, like that were legitimately
like legit
sacrifices. Yeah.
sacrifices.
Cool.
No, not cool.
Throwback to like pyramid era and Egyptians needing water and sacrificing people for it.
Moo, your time.
Maybe we should bring that back.
We could use a good snow on the mountain.
We could. Yeah.
The-
Sacrifice
Anyways,
for sacrificial Uller.
we'll add it to the cult checklist.
Mm-hmm.
The ritualistic sacrifices associated with the alignment cult are among the most disturbing elements of its history. These heinous acts were rooted in Valentina's twisted teachings, particularly her belief that the boys were inherently evil and destined to prevent spiritual salvation. The belief set the stage for acts of violence carried out by cult members. So they targeted victims. The victims were young boys, typically between the ages of 8 and 13, often from impoverished backgrounds. These children were lured away with promises of food, money, or jobs. Many of them came from families who were unaware of the cult's activities or powerless to stop them. The rituals were described as deeply sadistic and gruesome. Witnesses and investigations revealed that the boys were subjected to physical and sexual abuse before being murdered. Trigger warning, sorry.
Holy shit. So she's like, hey, all these people are bad and we're gonna rape them and beat them.
Yeah, and they're like young boys that they just like lure away from their homes or their families.
Is this a cult of all women? Like what are the participants like?
There's men and women
How the
because
fuck?
and there's like men and women and families
Yeah,
in this
how does
cult,
this
and so
even
like if a family or like a woman had a son who was born after 1981, they had to like disown that kid
and
because
abuse them in
yeah, like
various
abuse
ways?
them or just cut all ties or both.
Crazy. How do you go from aliens are gonna come cleanse the world to let's abuse young boys? That's like such a like I'd love to know like
Where's the
the I'd
connection?
love to know the meetings that they were having, you know, like those backroom conversations of like, I have an idea.
That's probably how it went. One of them, she was just like, "Guys, I actually have a message."
Dude.
Mm. All I can see in the reflection of my iPad is like Moo's little face,
Yeah,
and
she's
she
being
keeps
cute.
like puckering her lips.
Hmm. Well, this one's out there.
Right? Nuts, but a different kind of nuts than the love has won.
Oh yeah, completely
Yeah,
I mean,
but still
yeah,
nuts.
yeah. Like imagine this bitch on Dr. Phil.
Yeah. Shh, you're purring too loud. Anyways, trigger warning. Sorry, I'm gonna talk about the violence. Cult members, don't steal my cat. No, you're trying to steal my moo.
Alright, go ahead.
You can have an Aussie. He's right there. Anyways, cult members reportedly believed these acts were necessary to cleanse the world of cursed individuals and to achieve spiritual purity for themselves. Victims were often drugged to prevent resistance and to facilitate the rituals. Some were oh, this one's bad. Some were subjected to genital mutilation with organs reportedly removed during or after the killings. The mutilated body parts were believed to hold mystical significance and were sometimes used in ceremonies or discarded in remote areas. Mutilation of victims, particularly in the removal of their genitalia, was tied to the cult's belief in purging evil. Valentina's teachings emphasized that these boys were tainted and their destruction was a necessary sacrifice to appease higher extraterrestrial powers and ensure the cult's spiritual ascension. Uh, The rituals typically occurred in isolated areas, making it difficult for authorities to detect the activities. Bodies were often discarded in remote locations with signs of torture and mutilation, making the crimes unmistakably ritualistic. These acts sent shockwaves through Altamira and surrounding regions. Families lived in fear, and the community became haunted by the disappearances of brutal discoveries.
Whoa. Reminds me of the first season of True Detective, where that guy's doing a bunch of crazy, weird, ritualistic
Oh,
shit.
yeah. That was
Yeah.
such a good the first
Really,
season,
really
really
good.
good,
Yeah.
with
But it
Matthew
reminds me of
McConaughey.
like it's kind of rural areas. It's like some
Mhm.
one-off weird, somewhat religious, like
Yeah, like ritual
yeah,
things and
yeah, and like
fear in the
and
town.
there's a community behind it, and it's a little just freaky, freaky, freaky.
That season ended so weird now that I think about it. It was kinda culty, but it was really just, like, one messed up family.
Yeah, they just had political ties, and it was all kind of
Mhm.
everyone was kind of covering things up, and they did yeah,
Good show
bad,
if you haven't seen it. I've only watched season 1, but
yeah.
highly recommend.
But it mirrors this in some way.
Mhm. Where were we? The cult's secretive nature and bizarre motivations behind the crimes created an atmosphere of horror and confusion. While Valentina denied any direct involvement in these crimes, later former members testified that her teachings inspired and justified the acts. Cult members reportedly carried out the violence under her ideological guidance, believing they were purging evil from the world to secure their spiritual salvation. Valentina's ability to manipulate her followers turned her apocalyptic visions into a reality marked by bloodshed and suffering. Beyond the physical violence, the cult inflicted psychological abuse on its members. Followers were subjected to intense indoctrination, isolation from their families, and an atmosphere of constant fear and suspicion. Dissenters were ostracized or punished, ensuring complete loyalty to Valentina's authority. Many who escaped the cults described years of trauma and the enduring scars of manipulation they endured. The downfall of the Superior Universal Alignment cult began in the early 1990s. As the horrific crimes in Altamira, Brazil came to light, reports of missing boys, mutilated bodies, and ritualistic abuse shocked the local community, leading an investigation that would expose the dark underbelly of Valentina's cult. This period marked the unraveling of her organization as survivors, former members, and authorities pieced together the chilling reality of what had occurred. You're biting my fingers. The first cracks in the cult's secrecy appeared when local families began reporting their sons missing. Between 1989 and 1993, several young boys were abducted in the Altamira region, with their bodies later discovered in remote locations bearing signs of mutilation and abuse. The bizarre and ritualistic nature of the murders raised suspicion of an organized group behind the crimes. Local authorities initially struggled to connect the dots, hindered by the cult's secretive operations and remote, impoverished nature of the region. However, as the body count grew, public pressure mounted, prompting deeper investigations. Witnesses and survivors of attempted abductions began coming forward, providing crucial testimony that linked the crimes to the shadowy spiritual group led by Valentina. The investigation revealed that several members of the alignment cult, including professionals such as doctors and business people, were directly involved in the crimes. These individuals were arrested and charged with child abduction, murder, and mutilation.
Can you be charged with mutil? I don't think that's a legitimate charge.
Murder, abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, specifically because of the mutilation.
Hmm.
The precision of the mutilations, often conducted with surgical expertise, implicated medical professionals within the cult. Mhm. Valentina's cult leader fled as Valentina, the cult leader, fled as authorities closed in. She claimed she was innocent and she had not been present in Altamira during the murders. I know. Despite her denials, testimony from former members painted her as the ideological architect of violence whose teaching directly inspired the atrocities. In 2003, Valentina was arrested and stood trial in Brazil. Although she was acquitted due to the lack of direct evidence tying her to the murders, several of her followers were convicted and sentenced to prison. These convictions marked a significant blow to the cult's operations and public credibility. As the trials and media cover As the trials and media coverage exposed the cult's horrific activities, many members distanced themselves from the group. The revelation shattered the illusion of the spiritual enlightenment that had initially drawn followers to Valentina's teachings. Survivors recounted years of manipulation, fear, and abuse, and the cult's membership dwindled in its dark history as it became widely known. The cult's downfall did little to erase the trauma inflicted on the victims, their families, and the communities affected by its actions. The Altamira murders left scars that remain to this day, and the survivors of the cult's indoctrination faced years of psychological recovery. Valentina's retreat from the public life after her trial, Valentina retreated from public life after her trial but remains a notorious figure in the cult's history. Her teachings and the crimes they inspired serve as a stark reminder of how charisma, manipulation, and extremist beliefs can lead to devastating consequences. The story of the superior universal alignment is a chilling reminder of how easily belief can be twisted into something dangerous and destructive. What began as a spiritual quest for meaning spiraled into paranoia, manipulation, and horrific violence. At the center of it all was Valentina, whose charisma and apocalyptic teachings led her followers down a dark path of fear and obsession. The crimes committed by the cult left scars not only on the victims and their families, but on an entire community haunted by the loss and the trauma. And while justice was served to some degree, the acquittal of Valentina herself leaves the lingering questions about the accountability and the reach of her influence. This case isn't just about one cult, it's about the devastating power of manipulation and blind faith. It's a cautionary tale about the importance of critical thinking, accountability, and protecting the vulnerable who prey on those with fear and desperation. Anyways, thank you for listening. That was our stumbled through episode of the superior universal
You
alignment
had it
cult.
until that last one.
I tried.
So I wish that we had some information around like some specifics of the group or what happened or
Hmm.
I know this is a general overview and we actually really fast episode, but yeah, I would love details on like what did she do and how did this happen?
Yeah, just
Because it's
like the
like that's
growing
a
paranoia.
huge jump, you know, to be
Hmm.
running around this Brazilian town mutilating young boys when you started off talking about like aliens coming to rescue you
Hmm.
and being kind of anti-religious or anti kind of Christianity and that sort of yeah, I just especially that time frame. I wonder if there's a lot of missionaries that were coming through and just like there was pressure
Hmm.
religiously, and she's like, "Yo, I don't believe this. This something's wrong here." I
I
can appreciate that, but then like, what happened? Where did what the fuck?
I think
And
it
you
has
got like doctors and shit involved.
a similar turn to maybe it was the Ant Hill kids case where there was like this impending apocalypse that was gonna happen. It never happened, and people were
Yeah.
like, "So," and she's like, "Well, I just got a new
Just we
message.
gotta kill one more boy.
Yeah, I just
Like,
got a
what
new
the fuck?
message, and this is the issue. This is why, like, we're not ascending. It's because of this evil." So it was something to like further instill fear, but also like
Yeah.
grip people back into like this level of control. And
There's
um supposedly it's still active just through online forums.
ooh, the deep dark web.
I don't know if that's true. It was
Hmm,
just like a little tidbit that said supposedly it's still active.
hmm. Interesting. It makes me think about people that claim to be prophetic, that like channel things or they have some conversation with somebody extraterrestrial or whatever. Like I think that deep down we all crave some sort of spiritual connection. Like we really desire that in our lives or desire to be close to that or associated with that. And so when people in the world claim that, there's some part of us that's like drawn to wanting to
Mhm.
believe them. And then you get coerced into fucking wild acts of violence, especially on young kids. Like that's the
Yeah,
problem. Like
and obviously
violence is
there's
terrible in general, but like, oh man, that's terrible. That's rough.
so much more about the cult, but, like, this
Yeah,
was, like, what made this cult, like, so heinous in history
crazy. Yeah, I'm
because it went from that to that.
dying to know the conversations that they were having.
Yeah, I wonder if there's
So,
a, um what are those shows you watch where it's, like, telling you about something?
documentary,
Yes. I That's where my brain's at right now. I
perfect.
wonder if there's a documentary about it.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
look.
that'd be cool. We should look into it because yeah, I'd love some a deeper dive into that one just because it just seems like I said such an aggressive jump
Mhm.
that I want to know how,
Yeah.
especially when you get legitimate people in society like doctors and people of like
Businessman.
yeah real positions. Um, yeah, I think it's easier oftentimes to coerce either the ignorant or just that are struggling financially. Like there's other incentives usually you can offer people, but yeah, and from society's perspective, you're a doctor, like, you kinda made it. You're
Mhm.
you're doing something purposeful, you've achieved a level of excellence, somehow you get coerced. It's like the one guy in Love Has Won who was, like, actually quite wealthy, some wealthy businessman or some
Oh,
high
yeah,
up
yeah,
guy,
yeah.
and, like, they got him involved, and he had to quit his job and went
Uh-huh.
out there, and then they, like, left him in the desert because he
Yeah,
wasn't
and
good
his
enough.
wife was, like, so worried, yeah.
It's that kinda thing where I'm like,
They're just looking for,
"What?"
like, a deeper spiritual connection and then, like, get laced
Yeah, but
roped.
you're a doctor.
Yeah.
And you're
Doesn't mean you
told
have
your deep
spiritual
yeah, but your
connection.
deeper spiritual connection is to cut off the genitals of
Well, it
young
doesn't
boys.
start like that. You ease them in.
Cutting off pinkies? Like, what's the ease, you
You
know?
ease them in until they're stuck, and then you
Wild.
Yeah, this one was
Yeah,
nuts. I
this
just
that
couldn't
one's
believe
out there.
that
I like these yeah, they're out there.
I just and, like, of course, she had, like, growing paranoia and stuff, and, like,
Yeah.
that was a huge part of it, and she was just nuts from the get-go, but, um, it was just crazy to me, like, researching it that it just started as, like, a aliens cult, but
Mhm.
then the more I read, it was all of a sudden, like, killing boys, and I was like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
And I read a couple articles on it, and it all kinda, like, had that, like, aliens killing boys, and there wasn't a whole lot of I don't know how you would flow into that, but there wasn't a whole lot of flow from aliens to killing boys.
Yeah, I do, yeah, I guess that's kind of why I'm fascinated by the idea of understanding how that happened because there isn't really a clear like, she just woke up one day and was like, "I talked to the aliens, and they said we have to kill boys that
They're
are
cursed.
born after '81."
Mhm.
It just makes me go, "Why? Like, why boys? Why that age? Why that year? Why? Why?
Mhm.
Just 'cause? Like, was it fun?
Just 'cause.
Is there something that I'm unaware of about it?" Like,
Maybe.
yeah,
It's in the girl's handbook.
kill boys.
No, but yeah, nuts
Freaky
cult.
shit right there.
Anyway, babe,
Yeah.
is this a cult that you would've joined?
Well, I would be dead. They would have cut off my balls.
Yeah,
So,
you are born
um,
after 81.
unfortunately, I don't even have the option of joining.
Oh,
I would have been a sacrifice.
ritualistic sacrifice.
No, stepping out of that. I mean, I think there's a part of me that would have been intrigued by like, hey, this religious path maybe isn't all it's cracked up to be, or it's not the only thing out there. Like I would have been like, okay,
Just kinda,
that's
like,
like interesting
renouncing,
perspective.
yeah, traditional.
Um, so maybe depending on the timeline, but then yeah, like I said, the jump.
Mhm.
And so, like, I mean, we've kind of come to understand that most cults, they have some sort of process where they get people in, and then slowly but surely it morphs, and then they're taken advantage of, and they're manipulated, and they're coerced into doing stuff like this. And that's why I'm like, what was the bend? Like,
Mhm.
if the river's flowing, like, what took them this way?
Because the
Um,
higher ups, they needed it
yeah,
for
and I feel
spiritual
like
enlightenment.
that's probably the nugget and the most important piece to most of these cold episodes is like what was the transition so that more awareness of that's the shift you got to be
Mhm.
like got to kind of notice because before that it was just a community of people who were like a little bit disgruntled with whatever was going on spiritually religiously in those countries at that time. um yeah, so like what happened? I'm still stuck on it. It feels like yeah, there's just like
Not a whole
nothing
lot of
makes
flow.
sense. Yeah, nothing
I
makes
get
sense
it.
about it. So crazy. Well, hopefully we find some more information, and if we do, we can update y'all at home. But
Yeah. It
or
was
if you know anything about it, I
Yeah,
haven't
let
heard
us
about
know.
it.
It was pretty just, yeah, it was
Yeah,
like the gist of it I got and just scratching the surface of research.
crazy. Yeah.
But I
Okay.
was like, this is nuts.
Yeah. Well, good job. That was a good one. I liked it.
You liked it? All
Hmm.
the stuttering and everything?
I mean, yeah, yeah, whatever.
I got up early this morning.
It's okay. You don't need to make excuses.
It's not an
You just
excuse. It's
read.
hard,
You just
cold
read rough.
facts.
You're just a rough reader.
I just no good read.
No, I know good read. Sorry.
No read out loud good.
Come again.
I can read in my head good and see pretty little
Yeah.
pictures.
I read good in my head.
Anyways, if you feel like it, you can give us a like,
Yeah,
follow us, subscribe,
all
whatever, leave
those
a
things.
review. Um,
I enjoy seeing likes, and I enjoy, like, when we got a new subscriber, you get a little notification. It's like, "Oh, cool, someone's following along." Like, that's fun.
it's fun to
So,
watch.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's just rad either way. Little tidbits of acknowledgement are nice, so thank
Either
you.
way, it's just our fun little passion project,
Yep.
our small cult community.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm
We're
shocked,
small but mighty.
like all cults start.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Hmm.
that's episode 10. We made it to double digits. If you've been
Yep.
along since episode 1, thank you for being here. If you're just hopping on,
Appreciate you.
appreciate ya. And the stuttering happens every episode, so just get ready for it.
Some episodes are a
Better than
little
others.
rougher than others, but
Oh,
you're all right.
this one
You're
was rough.
doing good.
Thanks.
We're hanging in there. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
What do
Well,
you say?
don't forget to, oh yeah, babes. Don't drink the Kool-Aid, drink the tea.
That's not your outro, is it?
Well, today it is.
Oh, okay. All right. Bye, nerds.
This episode of Babe Let's Join a Cult is sponsored by Tea Tree House Teas, and let me tell you, we've been obsessed. I've been drinking their Vita Long Chai lately, and it's perfect for the season. The Lung Love blend is on deck as cold season kicks in. Tea Tree House makes these unique botanical blends that are gorgeous from start to finish with some serious magic, like their butterfly infusion that turns blue and sparkles. Plus, every tea is ethically sourced, sustainably grown, and packaged in reusable, compostable containers so that you feel good with every sip. And get this, with each purchase, they plant a tree to help protect endangered plants. It's like a small little ritual with a big impact. You can get yours at teatreehouse.com and use our code BabeLet'sJoinACult for 10% off. That's BabeLet'sJoinACult at teatreehouse.com. And trust me, you'll find your new favorite tea so you can be drinking the tea and not the Kool Aid.